For more analysis is Michael Singh, Managing Director and Lanswig Senior Fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. Michael, we know that Pakistan and Iran have had testy relations in the past, but why now? And what does it have to do with the Middle East?
Well, we had just not too long ago a terrorist attack inside Iran on a ceremony that was marking the anniversary of the death of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commander Qasem Soleimani. And that attack was claimed by the Islamic State. And it seems as though Iran, in retaliation for that attack, even though it initially blamed, sort of many parties, Israel, the United States, carried out retaliatory strikes both in northern Iraq against the house of a Kurdish businessman who they accused of being involved, as well as in Pakistan, where there have been, over the years, numerous Sunni militant groups that have conducted attacks into Iran, and frankly, vice versa, because you have Sunni militant groups in Iran that conduct attacks into Pakistan. And so it's part of, frankly, a long ongoing saga along that, very lawless, very difficult border between Iran and Pakistan.
Michael, you seem to be leaning towards the idea that this is more about the internal dynamics within Iran and also Pakistan. You kind of explained the situation for Iran, but what about Pakistan? It's not even in the Middle East.
Well, that's, it's not in the Middle East as we conceive it, but it borders Iran, obviously. And as you mentioned, that has been a sort of up and down relationship over the years, because while Pakistan is, closest to Saudi Arabia in the Middle East, it has always had to manage its relations with Iran, its neighbor. And one of the difficult points to manage has been the fact that in both Iran and Pakistan, in their provinces of Balochistan, which cross the Iran-Pakistan border, there have been these militant groups that have operated freely across that border, smugglers that have operated across that border, and neither side has felt that the other has really done enough to address those problems. And here we see it boiling over in a frankly very significant way, in a way that we haven't seen for many years.
I mean, following their respective strikes, we heard both parties releasing statements suggesting reluctance to escalate tensions. I mean, is there potential for a diplomatic resolution here?
Well, it does seem as though Pakistan wanted to make a statement that Iran could not simply attack a target in its territory, even if that target, was a militant group, without retaliation from Pakistan. That was a violation of Pakistan's sovereignty. And so hence the immediate retaliation. It does seem as though Iran is prepared to back down, not to further retaliate, and that Pakistan sort of feels as though its message has been sent. And I think that ultimately, in a sense, the loser here is Iran, because Iran has been able to attack in Iraq and Syria and other places with impunity. And Pakistan has sort of shown here that Iran is willing to back down when retaliated against.
Michael, having said that, and here's to hoping that the situation will not escalate. But we've had the UN chief, we've had the US urging maximum restraint. But we also know that the White House National Security Council spokesman, John Kirby, did not want to say anything when asked if Washington would support Islamabad should, further hostilities break out. I want to get a sense here. Is Pakistan still a key non-NATO ally for the United States?
Well, it's a relationship that has become more difficult, obviously, in recent years. And that has to do with many factors, including geopolitics. Pakistan has grown closer to China. We have seen the establishment of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, for example, a corridor which, by the way, has been attacked by some of these same militant groups, which we're talking about now. And so it's a difficult relationship. It's historically been quite a difficult partnership between the U.S. and Pakistan, but nothing like the U.S.-Iran relationship, which has been downright hostile and adversarial. And so I have little doubt that U.S. sympathies are likely much more with Pakistan in this case than with Iran.
We know that the proxies and allies of Iran is stretching from Red Sea to the Mediterranean. Let's talk about the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, Michael. Mr. Biden said that the U.S. airstrikes will continue, even as military nor diplomatic pressure seems to be working so far. Just how concerned are you that the U.S. seems to be sort of getting more involved militarily?
Well, I think the U.S. will try to limit its military involvement. I don't think, for example, you'll see U.S. troops landing in Yemen or anything along those lines. I think it'll largely be confined now to aerial strikes on targets inside of Yemen, and not much more. And I think that the frustration that the U.S. will feel is that it will be difficult to significantly degrade the Houthis' capability to carry out their attacks on commercial shipping and naval vessels in the Red Sea, because so many of the targets you're aiming at are either difficult to find or they're mobile and so forth. I think where you could see escalation is less in Yemen itself, but it's possible the U.S. could decide to also target Iranian targets, for example. For example, that Iranian spy ship, which has been reportedly helping the Houthis to target shipping. And so there might be a different kind of escalation there.
Okay, so I want to pick up on that point in particular, Michael. Despite the best efforts of the U.S. and other key players, are we in reality already staring at a wider regional war in the Middle East right now?
I don't think we're really seeing a regional war, in that, each of these theaters, Gaza, northern Israel and the Lebanon border, Yemen, Iraq, Syria, Pakistan, even though all these things are happening at once, and of course that's very alarming. And in a way they are happening, because of the original sort of set of events on October 7th, with the Hamas attack on Israel. There's no sense that in fact these theaters have blended together or that this is really one war. So much of this is opportunistic, opportunistic by the Houthis, for example, to try to boost their prestige and their profile by sort of, pitching in, while Hamas is fighting Israel. So I think there is still hope in Washington that this can be contained despite all the different conflagrations that we're seeing.
Yeah, speaking of being opportunistic, some experts say the Israel-Hamas war helped advance several key aims of Iran, like destabilizing the region or supporting insurgencies and so on. I mean, do you see the emboldened Iran sort of further utilizing this prolonged conflicts and tensions?
Absolutely. I think that Iran will, look at events so far and believe that it has gained, believe that it has achieved something like a strategic victory. Because you have, a narrative in the Middle East that has gone from, discussions of Israel-Arab normalization, especially Israel-Saudi normalization, to groups like Hamas and the Houthis and Hezbollah really dominating the narrative and dominating the headlines and sort of, in a way, dictating the pace of events in the Middle East. And of course, you have the U.S. and Israel isolated as on the Gaza issue, especially. So that all suits Iran just fine. And I think as long as Iran can help propel the violence, it will do so. And then it's incumbent on the United States and on Israel and on the moderate Arab states, which are their partners, to take what has happened and turn it into a strategic victory for their side, to continue with the track of normalization and regional integration that Hamas and Iran were trying to disrupt.
Michael, appreciate your time and your expertise this morning. Michael Singh, a managing director and Lane Swig, senior fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. Thank you.